Hey guys, Tony here. Week 5 picks for the NFL. Colts. I have the Colts over the New England Patriots. That video is going to be linked at the end in the description tab. Broncos Jets. It is Case Keenum, quarterback of the Denver Broncos. That's going to win game number 24 at the Jets. It is the Jets in gematria that equals 24. But look at here. These pundits need something to talk about in this rigged league with who's going to get fired. And Todd Bowles is one of these coaches. Todd Bowles is going to lose game number 32 as a head coach with the New York Jets against Denver. And it is Broncos that equals 32. For Case Keenum on the road, he's going to win game number 11 at the 11th ratified state. New York Jets, 11 letters. This is starting to line up perfectly for Denver to win on the road. Packers and the Lions, it's Aaron Rodgers and the Packers that are locked to win. Matthew Stafford, as a Detroit Lions quarterback, is going to lose regular season game number 69. Regular season loss number 69 for Matthew Stafford against the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers equals 69. Matthew Stafford and these guys are going to go down to the Packers. So Colts, Broncos, Packers, Carolina in this game. In gematria, it's Cam Newton that equals 108. I think Eli Manning's going to lose game number 108 against the quarterback, Cam Newton. 37 wins in October. I think that will remain at 37 against Panthers. Panthers equals 37. Now, look at the next opponent for the New York Giants after they face Carolina. Philadelphia, right? Perfect. Philadelphia. Panthers equal 101. No, okay, Panther equals 37. My point is that is certainly in play. But look at here, that Philadelphia equals 65. And you know, for Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers, the key thing to take away here is that Cam Newton's going to win game number 65 against the New York Giants before they play Carolina. So that makes it even more likely that Philadelphia is going to win. I want you to notice too that they rig the games weeks in advance. It all has to do with who teams play in certain weeks, what their win totals are going to be, you know, coaches, quarterbacks, teams against each other. It's New York Giants that equals 64, but I want you to notice that Cam Newton enters the game with 64 wins. But win number 65 before the Giants play Philadelphia, that's looking more like it. And the Giants, unfortunately for these guys, going to be sitting in the basement this year. Titans, Bills, you got to go with Buffalo. You know, any given Sunday, Josh Allen's first win came against the Vikings, opened their new stadium. You know, first opponent for the Vikings at their new stadium was Tennessee. Are the Bills the next team to need a new stadium, you know, financed by taxpayers for these billionaires? That's what I see that might be in a play. It's just funny how that happens to be. I'd go with Buffalo in this game. You know, the Titans had no business win against Philadelphia. It was a scripted game, but knowing how fans think, they're just going to think that Tennessee's going to win. But they're playing on the road, that's for sure. And that just is asking for it. It's just a dead trap. Falcons, Steelers, you got to go with Pittsburgh at home here. Pittsburgh may be hovering around 500 this year. Win number 138 for Big Ben. You know, his next win after he plays the Atlanta Falcons would be win number 139. And the main thing to take away from that is that Atlanta Falcons equals 139. So that's Big Ben. But look at Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has 96 career victories. I think he remains at 96 career victories against the Pittsburgh Steelers equals 96. You know, a really bad defense. Antonio Brown. I think you get my drift in that game. Atlanta may be a sexy pick, but I would go with Pittsburgh. And, you know, after the Steelers tanked on Sunday Night Football, I can see them suddenly starting to play defense like they did against Tampa Bay. And, it's just been, like, on and off all year. And you get my drift. It's really such a big joke anyways. And you have to really read the any given Sunday games, that are big surprises that fans think is going to happen. And the perfect example was last week in the Cincinnati Bengals. If I did more research on that game, I could have picked Cincinnati. Trust gematria. Don't trust the expert on the TV. He'll just say what is encouraged by the higher-ups, certain teams, for fans to bet on. These experts have to hype them up. So they're all in this together. I think the Buffalo Bills end a losing streak against Tennessee. It's Buffalo Bills equals 45 prior meetings. So that's just one more thing to take away from that Bills-Titans game for next week. Ravens and the Browns, tempting as it is to pick Cleveland. I see Baltimore win this game, and the Baltimore Ravens, Joe Flacco, win number 96 against Cleveland. It's masonry. It's Cleveland that equals 33. It's Freemason that equals 96. You sort of get my drift. Cleveland happens to equal these values. In basketball, it was the Cleveland Cavaliers that were the 33rd team to come back from a 3-1 deficit. Interesting. Dolphins and the Bengals, another trap game. Oh, Dalton's red hot. Oh, the Dolphins, stuck up a joint. But I tell you, I have to go with Ryan Tannehill and these guys next week. It's Ryan that equals 22. It is quarterback Andy Dalton that is going to have a 2-2 record against the Miami Dolphins. You see down below here. 2-2 after playing Ryan. That lines up, or actually here, I'd still go with 1-3. Because Miami's supposed to be a surprise in this division. This game's a little iffy, to be honest, but knowing the any given Sunday moments, the main thing that strikes me about this game has more to do with Ryan Tannehill. Because for Ryan Tannehill, number one, the Dolphins can go 4-1 with this 41st win to remain at 41 losses. That's almost perfect. Now on the road, I think Ryan Tannehill remains at 24 losses after playing the Bengals. It's Bengals that equals 24, and now Andy Dalton, we can definitely check too. It is, let's see, Dalton. Okay, so Dalton equals 21. Last thing to check here is for any 21 at all, which then would bring us back to Andy Dalton. But I go with the Dolphins early on in this game, one of those trap any given Sunday games, and teams suddenly start to play well the next week. It is 49ers in gematria that equals 55. Road win number 55 for Eli Manning would come against San Francisco. Once again, his record on the road here. Another reason to pick the Carolina Panthers over the New York Giants. Jaguars and the Chiefs. I'm doing a full video on that. Kansas City for the win. Raiders at the Chargers. These any given Sunday games once again. Oakland over San Diego. You just have to think about the San Diego Chargers record, and the fact that they play Cleveland the following week. And I see San Diego having a 3-3 record. So at 2-2, I see them losing to Oakland, but then, let's see here, beating the Chargers. Now, remember what I said about Cleveland equaling 33. So let me go up here. So it is Cleveland that equals 33, and with a loss, the Chargers can have a 2-3 record, or actually, they could even go 3-2 to go 3-3 if that's who Baker beats in his first NFL start. Because it is Baker that equals 37, and it is Los Angeles that equals 37. So I see Baker Mayfield's first win against the Los Angeles Chargers, and if the Chargers, let's see, the Chargers record either way would have to be 3-3, and I see Baker's first win against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers have a tough time winning at Cleveland to begin with, and the Chargers have to go back there again. So I probably have to change my mind and say that the Chargers are going to be Oakland, just because it's looking too good in anticipation of next week for San Diego to go 3-3, for Baker Mayfield to win his first NFL start, because I've already said that Baltimore's going to win. So as much as I like Oakland, the NFL's probably rigging it so the Raiders can desperately move out of Oakland, and so they can make Oakland want to keep the Raiders as less as possible. You don't want to pay for a new stadium for a losing team, so I think the Raiders are taking a dive in some of these games. So unfortunately for Oakland, that's just what's happening right now this year. I don't think they're a bad team. It's just the NFL rigging it against Oakland, because that's what this league does. It's completely scripted. So unfortunately for John Gruden, you may have to wait another week until the Raiders win again, and let's see who Oakland plays next week. The week after San Diego, of course. Seahawks are a totally winnable game. I can see that for them. So, yeah, the Raiders will just have to complete the move to Vegas. It's a lot like L.A. completing their move to, or St. Louis completing their move to L.A. We're talking about the Rams. So that's what to look out for that game. Chargers, unfortunately, and they got to keep these LA fans interested too, so I can see them rigging that game for LA, whether it be the referee or the players scripting on the field. Multiple ways they can rig games. So the Vikings and the Eagles, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings here. Their revenge after losing the NFC Championship game. That's another game of the week, in my opinion. Two teams coming out with a loss. Who's going to need to fight a little harder to get back in the playoff picture? The NFC East is just going to hover around 500 with all this competition. But if you look at Kirk Cousins, I want you to notice here that he can lose game number 36 against the Cardinals. Because, number one, Kirk Cousins struggles mightily in his career against the Cardinals. And my Gematrinator just went completely blank here. But it is Cardinals that equals 36. I think Kirk Cousins loses his next game against Arizona, so he would have to win. And for Kirk Cousins, he gets win number 11 against number 11, Carson Wentz. So I have to go with Minnesota taking on their revenge and taking on their frustrations on the team that started it all. And we will start to wonder if the Minnesota Vikings will climb back into the playoff picture, which I think is going to happen. And, Philadelphia, they'll be just fine. They're going to knock off the Giants, and I think they'll knock off Jacksonville too. So I think they're going to get kind of hot at the end of October, and that's just the main thing to take away from this game and this, any given Sunday. I cannot emphasize it enough. Cardinals and the 49ers. Josh Rosen, his nickname in college was the Chosen Rosen. It is Chosen that equals 64. It is 49ers in Gematria that equals 64. So the kid's going to get his first win. He's going to head back home to California, where he played college football. The Niners will continue to tank. Dallas I like over Houston. And then here for the Monday Night Football game, I actually have to go with the Washington Redskins. Loss number 49 at home for Drew Brees. I'm looking at that, and I'm seeing that Washington equals 49, and that just may be too much to overlook. And there was something else too. October. That's what it was. Alex Smith's 23rd victory in October against Drew. Now let's look at New Orleans' schedule, right? Because the Saints lose, so yeah, 3-2, but they're still in it. They're still in it, and Redskins may start off red hot, but I see the Eagles beating the Redskins. Yeah, this game I can see New Orleans winning against Baltimore. Then this one's going to be really good. So in anticipation of next week and knowing what the any given Sunday games are, let me know what you think. This is my edition of Week 5 picks. I hope you like the method of anticipation for the following weeks.